Hi, I'm Esther.
And I'm Shaun.
I write about AI news here at TechTarget in Massachusetts.
And I edit Esther's stories.
We're here to talk with tech experts about everything AI and ChatGPT.
Don't forget Google Gemini.
Whether it's who's ahead in the generative AI race, the metaverse, digital twins, or even the latest in autonomous vehicles, we've got it covered. Right, Shaun?
Yep, we've got it covered.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Targeting AI podcast from TechTarget Editorial. Today's episode should be fun. Shaun and I are speaking to Candace Mitchell, co-founder and CEO of Myavana, a beauty technology vendor that uses AI to recommend the best products for Black hair. Candace previously worked as a project manager and data analyst at PepsiCo and studied computer science at the Georgia Institute of Technology. We are so excited to have you, Candace. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
So I must say this might be a favorite episode of mine because I am very much into hair care and hair health and all of that. So I'm very excited to get into the hair aspect of it. But let's start with your story, Candace. How did you get into technology and how did Myavana come about? How did you come up with the idea of merging hair care with AI?
Yes, well, I fell in love with computers when my uncle bought our first computer for my family. So it was the first PC, and I actually put together the computer myself. And so that is how I discovered Microsoft, the operating system, Windows, all of the software applications, and I just fell in love. And I wanted to learn like how to build software like Microsoft that runs on millions of computers around the world. And I later studied coding in high school through web design. And so I started programming in HTML, CSS, building everyone's websites. I don't know if you remember MySpace, Black Planet, those days. I was working on all those type of pages, just, exploring code. And at the same time, I was also very in love with my hair. I loved doing my hair. I'm the oldest of three girls. So I was always on hair duty, always, being admired for my hair. And I thought I wanted to become a stylist as well. And so when the time came for me to go to college, I'm like, okay, do I go to cosmetology school or do I major in computer science? And at that time, my parents really encouraged me to explore technology. And I actually got the Hope Scholarship to go to Georgia Tech. And that year, they were rolling out the premier new curriculum for computer science called Threads, where you can explore different specializations. And so I decided to choose media and people, which created the track of human and computer interaction. And so, given that that was like the best computer science program at the time and still is, I would say that was really the path for me. And I was like, okay, I can always go to cosmetology school at a later date. And so, fast forward a few years later, I started going natural. And I was really rediscovering my hair for the first time. From it being, straightened all the time with relaxers to it now being naturally curly. And I was trying all these different products and it was drying my hair out, breaking off. And I was like, what in the world is going on? And so I started researching the science of hair and discovered that your hair is as unique as your fingerprint. And that's why certain ingredients and products may react differently on your hair than, let's say, your sisters, your friends, your roommates. And therefore, it really requires a personalized approach. So I combine my knowledge in computer science with writing algorithms and software development to create the first hair product recommendation system, which is Myavana. That's what Myavana is. So it intelligently analyzes your hair to identify your unique hair ID and matches that to the products that will work best for your hair. So that's how that all started.
Okay, so that's a good segue for my question. So can you walk us a little bit behind the technology itself and what kind of AI are you using and how does it work? And this is,
Mhm.
I always pile on with the questions, but what is beauty tech? I think you're in the beauty tech
Yeah.
category.
Yes, we're in the world of beauty tech, and we created the category of personalized hair care. And what it really is using technology as an application for beauty, right? So not only the cosmetic products, but the technology behind the experiences in beauty. And it is new and unique. And the way we did it first started with the physical hair analysis kit, kind of like similar to 23andMe for your hair, where you comb your hair strands and send it to our lab. Our first lab was at Georgia Tech in the nanotechnology building. And we literally were assessing hair strands underneath the microscope and capturing your unique texture, type, and condition. That is your unique ID for your hair. That's different from everyone else, even down to the percentage level. And what we did was we gathered all those images from the microscopic analysis over the years, about 10 years in research and development now. And we use machine learning to teach our software how to identify these unique combinations in all the different images. So we've analyzed over 2 billion hair strands to date. We have so many data points on a wide range of texture, type, and condition now, because at this point in the market, the hair typing system, which most of us have identified our hair by, which is like a 2A, 3B, 4C, only covers 12 hair types. Our research shows us that there are actually 972 unique combinations of hair profiles. And so there's a much wider range than we realize, which is comprised of the human race of hair. So we identify not only Black women's hair now, but all people's hair. We can analyze anyone's hair. And taking those images and using machine learning is how we can automate the process of the analysis and generate those product recommendations. So that personalization category is what we have now created, and we're now leading the market in hair AI because we have the largest database of hair strand textured hair strand data, all textures, all types, all conditions. We have the largest database. And so that's how we did it. So it's actually great market timing as well, because by the time we needed to automate our process of the analysis from the kits to the images, that's now at the same time AI has been taking off and shaping different industries. So that's how we became to be in the forefront of that.
So you've amassed all this data, right? Did it take you like 10 years to get the data and then you started your company? Or did you do it as you were collecting the data?
No, we started from day one. So we've been in business for 12 years now. And day one started in a startup accelerator at Georgia Tech called Flashpoint. When I had the idea and was really needing the resources to bring it to market. And the great thing about that is our experience really started with customer discovery, because you all know in the tech world, they basically teach you to throw out everything you know about your idea and go out and validate it first before you build anything, right? And so we interviewed over 1,000 women about their hair. And the most compelling thing that came out of it was understanding how our unique hair and life journeys is what drives our buying behavior. And one of my favorite quotes is that every hairstyle has a story. Because if you go back and look at your photos over the years and the different styles you have, you kind of remember what was going on in your life at the time, right? Those are all data points too, because that impacts what products we're looking to buy, right? If I want my hair to be straight and blonde because that's my new look, then I want to know the products to use, what salon I want to go to. And that actually showed us the engine, right? That discovery engine, that recommendation engine that's actually happening behind the scenes, that's creating this multi-billion-dollar market. And so we did that from day one. We got our first customer actually within the first year. And it wasn't only a consumer, it was also our second customer was a hair care product business, because they wanted to know the insights that we were gathering about consumers' hair needs. And so that showed me that, the data is actually very valuable. Because if you think about it, most companies, they buy like market research reports, right? What are market research reports generally based on? Is based on shopping data, right? From the point of sale. What Myavana is capturing is what's happening even before the point of sale. How can we influence the point of sale? Because we're actually now guiding you on the products that you need. Hair care has never been personalized before. We've just been, seeing ads, seeing someone's hair and asking them, oh, what did you use? Or even during the natural hair movement, we all flock to YouTube. But what tends to happen is you watch someone and the product that they're using, and you turn around and try to use the same product, and sometimes you don't get the same results. Again, because your hair is as unique as your fingerprint, and so we started our research and development has been the foundational part of starting and growing our business. And so now, after 12 years in business, I would say about 2 years ago, um, we started licensing our technology B2B, which has allowed us to scale our business. And so I would say we're just now hitting the mass market phase, especially because it was very hard to raise funding for us. So, it took a while to grow our customer base. A lot of it has been organic, but now we're reaching the mass market. And so now people are hearing about Myavana, but it's kind of similar to that quote that says it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. We've been in research and development over those years, but we've had paying customers along the way too.
Very interesting. So I just wanted to make a comment about what you said earlier about type. I'm not sure if you really got into this, but basically, the looser your curl pattern is, you're more on the the far end of the spectrum, and then the tighter your curl pattern is, you're more of the so straight is like 2A, and then very very tight hair like mine is is like for type 4. And then, like you said, there seems to be a lot more types in regards to that. I have a follow up because you mentioned obviously you got your first customer the first year, and they got a B2B, like a business customer. And I wonder what customer that is, if you don't mind sharing. And then secondly, for consumers, you mentioned obviously most people when they're start looking into hair, they go to YouTube or they go to the internet. So is getting a product like yours, an AI product like yours, is that elitist a little bit? Like, is that like perhaps not available to the general public, and how do you try to make it available?
Our technology is available on our website. So anyone can use our hair AI tool. And we're also brand agnostic. So we recommend all products on the market. So you're literally getting your best match out of what's available. And that was very important to me. I did not want to allow companies to pay to be recommended. You can't pay to be recommended. They are truly unbiased, neutral recommendations based on the attributes in those products and the variables in your hair. So we stand on that. That's our positioning. However, hair care brands can access our consumer insights so that they can learn, what products, what hair IDs are my products best for, because that helps them with their product performance testing. That helps with their marketing strategy to do more better targeted marketing. And so the insights are what we allow them to glean from, but not necessarily influencing the recommendation. And our first B2B customer actually was a hair care brand called Design Essentials. They actually really bought into the marketing potential of Myavana to now target the customers that match with their products. So, for example, if we have 50,000 users in the Myavana system, and let's say 10,000 of them match with Design Essentials, how can Design Essentials start marketing directly to those customers? Right now, it's still a one to many marketing strategy right now. A lot of brands, let's say you do Facebook ads, right? Facebook ads, they're only based on demographic data. It's not based on your hair data, your actual hair needs, your actual hair goals. When you come to Myavana, you could actually target consumers based on their hair goals and hair challenges. So if you have the best product for curl definition, we want to market to your product. We want to market your product to the consumers whose hair goal is curl definition, and they match with your the performance of your products. So that's what we really started to open up, and we are just standing up our consumer insights dashboard. And so now companies can get real time consumer insights on the market. And that's globally as well. We have customers all over the world. If, as a company, if you knew that women in Brazil are struggling with frizz and chemical damage, and your products are best for that, wouldn't you want to reach those customers? That's those are the type of things that we're unveiling, and then having the ability to make those products available in retail in those markets. So that's the cool thing with AI is it has really uncovered new data that is helpful for businesses and how to better target consumers. And again, just making it personalized. I don't want to see all these ads on Instagram about hair products. I really want to know what's best for me. And I think that's where the market is today.
Another quick follow up is how exactly I know you have the free tool on your website, and then you're not really you're brand agnostic, like you said, right? So can you delve into like how you guys kind of make your money, right? Because you've been around for 12 years, and like you said, it takes a while before you become an overnight success, so to speak, right? And I saw you had the 6 million in funding recently, but like, how do you make the bread and butter of your money if you're not like catering to one specific like brand, like, like, I don't know, Shea Moisture or something like that?
Yeah, Shea Moisture is actually one of our clients. Unilever was our first enterprise customer. So they licensed our hair AI technology. And so we were able to integrate it on SheaMoisture.com. And we actually launched that in the UK and France. And it was actually the goal was to elevate the brand exposure in those markets in a new way by providing the personalized guidance, because that also enhances your product education too. So that was a really big win at the time. On the consumer side, you can do your first analysis for free. If you want to continue using the tool, you do have to subscribe. And so the subscription fee is only $9 a month. But thinking about that, that could save you over like $300 in buying products that don't work for your hair, right? And so the thing about subscribing is we're always changing our hair. So if you get your first analysis for free, let's say for my twist out right now, I can use hair AI again when I'm ready to do a new hairstyle. So that's going to be really our next approach is hairstyle recipes. Because again, when you need to know what to use for your hair, wouldn't it be so much more easier if it was in a recipe with the products, the tools, the techniques you want to do, and also the option to book a salon appointment if you want a stylist to do it for you. That's what we want the value of Myavana to be, is to make your hair life easier. Once your hair life is easier, it helps tackle, whatever you're called to do in life, right? How you show up at work, how you show up at school, how you show up, just in your individual personality, right? Like we're always expressing ourselves through our hair. So we want to make that a much more enjoyable process, because the natural hair movement is oftentimes been referred to as a struggle. And, we've struggled with our hair a lot, just because, we do have the greatest hair texture variety out of any ethnicity in the world. But the main issue was we didn't have the products available to us to address all these unique needs. It wasn't until recently, I would say over the past, 5 to 7 years, that the hair care industry has boomed with more products available to us for natural hair. And actually, when we started out, when we were doing customer discovery, some of the brands that we met, which are like the pioneering brands in the natural hair movement, was Carol's Daughter. We met Lisa Price. We met Jane Carter from Jane Carter Solutions. Of course, we met Design Essentials. I told you they became our first customer. And it was those are pretty much the main ones. Shea Moisture launched soon after that. But think about it. I can count on one hand like how many brands are really catering to us like a decade ago. Now it's close to probably over 200 brands. We have like over 200 brands in our database. So now it's more oversaturated market. So again, what products do I use? Which ones are best for my hair? And the good thing is there are a lot of great products on the market. There are. There are. But again, it's just like knowing which ones to use for different styles, different needs, etc. So that's kind of how we navigated and then landed on our business model, right? Because we did have it free for a while because we needed people to test it and use it, and we needed to perfect our models and things like that. But now we've turned on subscriptions and B2B. We do have a software subscription as well to access the consumer insights. And then we do the enterprise licensing as well. So our first retailer that we've licensed to is Ulta. So you can use Myavana on Ulta.com as well as the Ulta app. So when you shop at Ulta, you can get personalized recommendations for your hair based off of the products that you carry. And soon we'll be rolling out in all of the retailers.
Okay, thanks. So going back to the AI part of it, first of all, I'm curious about if you're using any generative AI, or is it just more machine learning and predictive and recommendations? But can you talk about like which technology you use? I mean, from Google, Microsoft, AWS, OpenAI, Anthropic, all of the above, none of the above, or did you build all your own models? Did you use foundation models? If you use Gen AI, or what kind of technology are you actually using?
Yeah, all of our models are proprietary. We built them in house. We are running on AWS. We also built a conversational chat AI with Google. And so a lot of these companies, they do have new AI tools, which is great. But we actually built ours before a lot of those became available. So we're always assessing, is it best to use Google or is it best to continue, using our own models or whatever the case may be. Also, from a generative AI standpoint, I think the capacity of which we're tapped into that is really just from the personalized recommendation standpoint and how it generates the recommendations as you change your hair. We're pretty much still honing in on that. We haven't expanded much beyond that. However, we do have a lot of things that are in research and development. One thing we did build with Amazon is voice AI with Alexa. We did build some Alexa skills to power your hair routine. Because think about it, when you're doing your hair in the bathroom, right, and you have product on your hands and stuff, wouldn't it be great to use voice AI to get guidance on what to do next? So that was like our proof of concept that we later demoed at CES. That's actually where we met Ulta as well. Um, that is the extent of what I can share. Again, because all of our technology is proprietary. Um, but that's essentially where our recommendation system is to date. And we really just want to master the automation of the hair image analysis. That is like the game changer again, because people are always trying to figure out their hair and what they need. So that's pretty much the extent of what I can share and how like our full system works. But again, yeah, we do run on AWS and we have, full stack technology that we built in house. We run on React Native for our mobile app. But yeah, those are kind of like the high level aspects of our tech stack that I can share.
I love how like it's kind of beauty and then very technical as well, obviously
Yeah.
beauty tech. But last year I encountered a couple of other beauty technology vendors that are using AI with makeup, either like look at my face and then show me what the age of my skin
Yeah.
is. and stuff like that. I forgot. I think it's Perfect AI, something like that, to provide recommendation for customers. So my question to them and now to you is, how can we count on the accuracy, right? What is the success rate of those who have used Myavana?
Yes, that's a great question. So right now, our accuracy rate is about 92%. We do have outliers here and there that are mostly due to lighting, like adequate camera lighting. So, if you're in the movie theater using the tool, it might be less accurate if we can't really get a clear picture versus kind of where I am now, which is a lot of natural light. That was probably the biggest thing that we learned is between lighting and the camera angle, it influences the accuracy. But now with facial detection, we can we have prompts on the screen that make sure that you're putting your hair fully in the frame so that we can get the best view, and that ensures that the analysis is as accurate as it can be. But it was a lot of trial and error. And what we do is, like, if any user wants to debate if their analysis is accurate or not, we have a button that says, send your results in the lab with Myavana. And we'll double back and check it with actual humans. So, actual humans train our models. So, our healthy hair expert team, we have an amazing chief hair officer who has been in the hair industry for over 30 years. She's done product performance testing for all the major brands, and she was very influential in training the accuracy of identifying the images. And so, yes, whenever there's a question regarding accuracy, we will actually have we will actually have human input, which is our hair analyst in the lab. Because again, we're at the point where it's not fully automated, meaning 100%, because we're still just incorporating, any type of outliers or anything new. We have some people who've had funky hair, like purple hair color, like purple and green hair strands, and just a lot going on. And sometimes it might throw off the model, but we did get to a point, and especially as we license with retailers, the confidence level of 90% and up is very safe for us. My goal is to get to 99.999%. And I think that will happen over the next few years, especially as it becomes more generative. But yes, so that's something that we're constantly keeping an eye on with our R&D team.
Okay, so your accuracy seems great, but let's talk a little bit about transparency. In the hair care industry, right? Hair care products are often filled with labels that are unclear to normal consumers. And also, how can you get people to also trust the AI technology? So, how do you make sure that you're transparent on both of those in both of those areas?
Yes, so that is a good point. We are starting a series called In the Lab with Myavana. And from a customer service standpoint, we do always allow customers to ask questions. So it's not like, you're using a tool from a company that you never hear from, or that when you upload an image, it's just like going somewhere in the internet that you don't know if it's a robot analyzing it or what. Like, we're actual humans behind the scenes, and we're making our hair analysts more visible. With our In the Lab series, we're actually starting with the product performance testing because of the concerns more around ingredients right now. Now, when it comes to the labeling, that's something that we're very transparent about as well, especially as we, do have the option for you to submit your image for more questions, or if you disagree with it. The interesting thing is sometimes people disagree. And it's all good because we're actually really rediscovering our hair, to be honest. Sometimes, when your percentages come back and you're like a medium fine, curly coily, but you thought you were a wavy fine, people kind of feel some type of way sometimes. And it's okay because we're truly rediscovering our hair and understanding that it is truly unique. It's not just one type or one texture. So just allowing that conversation is what we do, because it really turns into an education moment.
I like the idea of rediscovering your hair, right? And I know that like that being able to have a conversation is important. What do you think about regulation, right? Perhaps do we need more regulation in both AI and air care in order to help with that transparency aspect of it?
Yes, we do. We need more regulation across the board, to be honest. Because companies do need to be held accountable in how they really moderate um, and are held accountable, yeah, for their AI practices. Now, as for us, one thing that we do have to always comply with, especially with these enterprise contracts, is we do go through extensive like information security reviews with these different the legal teams from these different companies, right? Unilever, Ulta, like we go through a lot of checks ourselves. Um, but I do think there needs to be more governance around the board, across the board. Actually, one of my co-founders, Joy Bolumwini, she is really leading the charge on this. She has a book called Unmasked, and she is really pushing the government to enforce these policies. So her book is called Unmasking AI. My mission to protect what is human in the world of machines, because that's that's the thing that we have to be careful with, right? We can't give the machines too much power, and we do have. I believe that developers should start to have a license to build an AI. So think about how, like, how a doctor has to have a license to practice, right? I think in AI, developers should have a license to build an AI, because just like how doctors take the Hippocratic Oath, I think developers also need to take an oath that they are going to be fair and lead with integrity in what they're building. Because the fact of the matter is, we can make robots do anything, for better or for worse. And the direction of AI is really influenced by the motives of the developer who's building it. So I do think that governance needs to happen. I know there are several leaders like Joy who is pushing forward on that. So we'll see how that goes. But I definitely think that the government needs to take a more proactive approach on that as well.
I think that's a very interesting perspective about licensing for developers. I do want to ask, like, going back to the issue of like trust, right? You mentioned the idea of rediscovering hair, and then obviously in the Black community, there is that kind of sensitivity. It's not just hair for most people. I know people like, oh, it's just hair, but for most people, I don't think it's just hair. Do you find that people are trusting in technology because of the use of AI, or are they skeptical?
Yes, definitely more trustworthy. Trustworthy because we're transparent about the people who are programming it, right? Our Myavana healthy hair experts. And so the trust comes from the fact that now true professional expertise is being brought back into the picture. Because before, for the most part, you're really relying on what a blogger says about a product, or even what a company says about a product, too, when in actuality, the company is really trying to sell their products at the end of the day. So they're marketing the benefits, right? But how do they really know that it's going to work for your hair? A lot of things are product performance tested, but there's never been like a third party authority on this. So I'm positioning Myavana to be the authority on healthy hair care. And it's really because we're bringing back the professional expertise back into the picture. We are now training our Myavana pros, who are professional stylists and licensed cosmetologists. All right. The people with the actual hair knowledge who had to go to school for this. They have been behind the chair over the past decade, not in front of the computers, where influencers have now taken the lead, but influencers are still subjective based on their opinion and how it worked for their hair. So by bringing the objective professional opinion, that's all integrated in the technology and our algorithms. People are very, very much trusting of that, and we are becoming the company that consumers can trust, especially when there are issues just around ingredients. I'm sure we've all seen the blow ups about different products and people's hair falling out, right? So who can you trust? I want people to trust Myavana.
Okay, so you guys raised nearly $6 million recently. Good amount of money. So why do you think investors are interested in AI for beauty and beauty tech? Does it have anything to do with the explosive growth of generative AI, or is it more just a consumer phenomenon? And do you expect to raise more money in the future, or are you counting on just increasing your revenues so you won't have to go back for more funding?
Mhm. Yes, great question. So it's definitely a balance of both, um, because you do need the resources to build out these products, right? And so I balance the funding to really get the product into the best experience that it can possibly be so that we can generate those revenues. Now in Q4, we do have a focus on that. Now that we've been able to close the funding, we can really push forward on our partnerships and our marketing strategy to reach consumers and grow our revenues. And I think investors became interested for a couple of key reasons. Obviously, AI, how AI is now transforming every market. We're the leaders in hair AI. We created hair AI. So, they want to be a part of how this will now shape the hair industry. But also, from a roadmap standpoint, we do have some key milestones that we're aiming to hit in terms of expanding into the professional market, expanding into the enterprise retail market, and the scalability of that. I think is what really impressed investors, as well as the data that we're capturing. So with investors like Duo Partners, who have been market leaders for companies like Circana, who are market leaders in companies like Circana, IRI, with Ulta's Digital Innovation Fund. They actually have a lot of really cool digital tools for beauty, virtual beauty tools. So we're now in the product suite for that. And I think investors have really been excited of the potential of the scale of Myavana as well. Being that we do reach customers globally, we're creating the first ever database of hair profiles for consumers around the world. So there's no limit to the amount of recommendations that we can provide over a consumer's journey, how that drives product sales, how that uncovers data that has never been available before, and now what other companies can do with that. So I think that's why a lot of them came on board, and especially with our launch with Ulta, they made a strategic investment into the company, and that's what brought a lot of new investors on board too, to finally close our seed round this year.
That's cool.
So it
Thanks.
sounds really good, and yeah, it sounds
Mhm.
really promising. My final question right now is: you are one of the few Black beauty technology vendors. How important is it for there to be a company or a vendor like yours bridging the gap in terms of AI and helping more people of color use AI technology?
Yeah, it's very important to me because we do need to remain at the forefront of all industry shaping technologies. Because if we're not, then we don't have a voice, we don't have a contribution into the direction of it. And also, from a cultural standpoint, we're not able to leverage the positive benefits of how this technology can now shape our cultural experiences, such as hair. Hair is a very cultural thing for Black people, but also in any industry, right? Our perspectives need to be at the table, right? Our perspectives need to be incorporated in these algorithms on the screens and the products. And if we don't have diverse development teams, we're always going to have limited insight on things. And we also miss out on the wealth building potential of these companies too. So when you think about, the last transformation of markets like, content streaming with Netflix or ride sharing with Uber and Lyft, right? Those are industry shaping things that created multi-billion-dollar markets, right? AI is doing the same thing. And so if we're not at the table, we're missing out on the wealth building side of it as well. And we can't be we can't be at the table if we don't have the skills to do so too. So one thing is that it's important to me is exposure, making sure that people of color are exposed to career tracks in technology, but also the skill building too. Now when you go to school, it's not just options about being a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher. Now people need to understand that they can become developers, right? You can become a data scientist. You can become an engineer, and we need that. We need that because, again, if the development process is not diverse, a lot of our perspectives and things that shape our real life experiences won't be accounted for. So I encourage everyone. I pretty much tell everyone, if you're not in tech, you're going to be left behind at this point. So I think everyone needs to get into tech in some form or fashion. And what better way to do that than through AI? Because there's so many applications of AI. There's so many companies that you could be a part of, either joining those teams or building your own. And then especially a category like beauty, which we already love. Think about, what could you do in beauty? What is the next new beauty product that you can create using technology? So that's what I love and what I'm really passionate about.
Well, thanks so much for joining us today, Candace. We really appreciate it. And can you tell our audience
Thank you so much.
how they can
Yeah.
connect with you? What's the best way for our audience
Yes.
to connect with you?
Yes, absolutely. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. My name is Candace Mitchell, and I usually check LinkedIn every day. So I would love to hear from you, reach out, connect. You can also go to myavana.com. That's myavana.com. And you can also connect with us on social media at Myavana Haircare. And my personal Instagram is I am Candace Victoria. So feel free to reach out and definitely start your hair profile on myavana.com so you can be a part of this experience.
Thank you so
Wait,
much.
Candace, is this for both men and women?
For everyone. It's for everyone. We can analyze everyone's hair. So the guys are more than welcome too. We have men customers too.
That's interesting. Okay, so for our listeners, please keep sharing, commenting, reviewing our podcast. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, other major podcast platforms. You can also you can watch the video version on TechTarget's YouTube channel, Eye on Tech. We'll see you next time on the Targeting AI podcast. Thanks so much.